even as the IDF makes progress in the war against Hamas, including the completion, by the way, of a 2-week operation on a Hamas command center that literally was embedded within the Shifa Medical Center and that apparently resulted in 0 civilian casualties, a miracle, many would say, in and of itself. Nonetheless, challenges to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's leadership have intensified. Literally thousands of protesters have gathered in Tel Aviv as well as Jerusalem in recent days. And senior Israeli and American officials held a virtual meeting today to discuss Israel's plans for Rafah, where Hamas, of course, has battalions who have bunkered down there. So how close are Israeli fighters to defeating Hamas in Gaza? And perhaps more importantly, from our perspective, is the U.S. helping or hindering Israel's efforts? Well, joining me now to discuss this and more is Congressman Tim Burchett. He serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, as well as the Oversight and Accountability Committee. He represents the 2nd Congressional District of Tennessee. Congressman Burchett, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to have you.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Well, listen, a lot happening around the world right now. I'd love to start with your reaction to this virtual meeting that took place today with top Israeli officials regarding Rafah. What do you expect? Do you expect anything seriously to change from the conversations that took place today?
Well, it's really hard to tell what's going on if you rely on our national media, which clearly does not have ours or Israel's best interests at heart. You know as well as I do, you don't negotiate with terrorists. They came across the border, they murdered Israelis, and now we expect Israel just to play nice. And it just doesn't work that way in the Middle East. It hasn't worked that way for over 2,000 years. And yet, here we are back again doing these UN type of tactics, meetings, alerting the enemy to what we're going to be doing or what they're going to be doing. And I really don't put a lot of faith in that. In these reports out of Israel of the massive protests, you know, I've seen the massive protests here as well over issues that I could not even fathom to comprehend the number of people. You know, you have selective camera angles and the way they do these things, you know as well as I do. I hope Israel does what they think is best in their best interest and quit worrying about what the public opinion is going to be, because that's where leaders get themselves. The leaders become followers and become retired pretty quick when they start down that path.
Yeah, you know, and I agree with you. I hope Israel does what they need to do, but I hope likewise here in the United States that we do what we need to do to defend Israel and to help them out. You know, just last week, for example, the Biden administration allowed a UN Security Council vote against Israel to pass. You know, and that's just stunning to me. It's such a departure from where we've been historically. Do you think we're going to continue to see the Biden administration allow their attempts to appease the left take place as we come into this 2024 election cycle?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what they're doing. They are just playing to the lowest common denominator. I feel like this president in the polls are not really just showing just how bad they're doing in the public opinion, and here in Tennessee especially. But I think what they're doing is they're losing their base, their radical far left base, and that's why they're trying to appease them. And that's why you see members of Congress and the U.S. Senate doing exactly the same thing, going so far to the left, because they know if they don't have their base, they have no hope of picking up the conservative right and even the middle. So they've got to ensure that their far left base is there. And this is the way they're doing it, by going against America's values and against our interests, frankly.
It's absolutely stunning to me. You serve, if I may go here, because it's related in terms of national security and our funding for foreign policy. You serve on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Another one of those international issues that Congress is facing has to do with Ukraine. And you all are expected to have a vote regarding more aid to Ukraine as early as next week. What do you anticipate on that front?
Well, if I suspect something will pass. I won't be supporting it. I think it's a pig in a poke. It's not our war. Here again, we're over in messing in somebody else's business. And I just don't see that serving us. You know, Russia's evil. Putin's a bad, bad person, but their GDP is somewhere between France and Canada. And you really can't justify us being over there when we just turn our back on the atrocities that China does. Heck, we turn our backs on some of the things that are going on down in Central America, even. So, you know, we're kind of picking and choosing. I see a lot of tentacles into this Ukraine thing. I see Republicans and Democrats' portfolios going through the roof because of that. Case in point, our missile defense system that we sent over there and then had to replenish ours with a multi-billion-dollar no-bid contract. And these are all public record. So I question our true motives there. And it disgusts me, Jody, if I can be so strong as to say this, that these economists say we're getting, 80% of the money back or whatever, because they're going to be buying our bullets and our bombs. Is that putting America's best interest forward by doing that? I don't think so. I don't think our economy should be based on wars in other countries that we're helping to promote. So I really question a lot of our motives in all of this.
If I can switch topics with you, we've only got a couple of minutes left, but President Biden, I just got to ask you about this. President Biden is, he's doubling down on this transgender ideology, declaring yesterday, just unbelievably so, Easter Sunday, he declares it as Transgender Day of Visibility. What do you make of the White House pushing gender ideology through what they call a whole of government approach? And what does this mean about this government towards people of faith?
First of all, it's a slap in the face to all Christians and people that have traditional values in this country. Who is more visible now than this bunch? He's checked the box everywhere you go. He put up somebody in charge of some of our nuclear secrets, a guy that wore a dress, mentally ill, that stole dresses from an airport more than once. And this was the guy that they put in charge. You have our military recruitment's at an all-time low right now because you're sending men out in dresses recruiting kids. And the red-blooded American boys and girls just don't respond to that, and for good reason. I think it's just a slap in the face to our traditional values. Again, he's losing everything. He knows he's got to have his base on election day. His pollsters are saying we got to have that hard left who we're losing because of this economy, and that's why he's going there. It's nothing more than pure politics and a slap in the face to Americans who believe in traditional values like you and I do.
Thank you so much, Congressman Tim Burchett. Always great to have you on the program. Thanks for your insight.